It ain't easy being a man these days. Hard to even say for sure what a man is. A provider, a lover, maybe even a hero. One thing's for sure. A journey towards being whatever a real man should be doesn't need to be done alone. The Gentlementor are here to help you navigate that, so you never have to go alone.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Gentlementor. This is what is this? This is our
Season 3,
our relaunch.
third season.
Third season. All right, so here we are in the third season. Hey,
It's
if you're joining
weird,
us,
but
well, we're weird anyway. So hey, if you're
Right on.
joining us, for the first time, thanks for doing that. We appreciate that
Yeah.
greatly. And then
Glad you're
also,
here.
just to let you know about who we are. Really, we're just a couple of guys who really love helping men connect and change and be the
Build-
men that they're supposed to be. Build what? Build stuff
and build community.
and build community. Yeah. So we're actually a community of people all over the globe. We've got people that's spanning in Europe. We've got people the north, the
true.
West Coast, East Coast. We've got
Indonesia.
people in Indonesia.
India.
Yes. And
Israel.
so most importantly, we want to invite you into the conversation. So hit us up on our channels, our YouTube, Instagram, BitChute, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you are. Just
Join
hit
us,
us up.
won't you?
Please hit us up, throw some stuff out there. Let us know what you want to talk about because we're here for you. But most importantly, we're going to move towards the idea of change. That is where we're focusing. In fact, Doug has so brilliantly classified this season of the Gentlementor as what? Say it.
Change agency.
Oh, I love it. The change agency. We're your agency for change. Why do we got to change? Why do we got to change?
You don't gotta.
You don't gotta?
That's,
I guess you
that's
don't.
episode 1 right there. You don't gotta
Ooh,
change.
that's so good. You don't have to change.
In
But if you
fact,
don't,
go ahead.
are there
Go ahead,
consequences?
Find a different podcast. Go ahead, turn it off now.
Go somewhere else.
We promise
because-
you, this is how the intro works. This will help you know if this is the right podcast for you.
Hey, there
If
you
you're-
go.
Man, one thing I'm not interested in is changing anything. Click. It's just go
There
ahead.
you
It's
go.
cool. No hard
Hey,
feelings.
we don't want to waste your
Don't want
time.
to waste your time.
We
Respectful.
don't want to waste your
We
time.
are respectful.
We are respectful because that's what gentlemen are. They are respectful to other people's time and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So, but there are consequences if you don't change, right?
There are consequences whether or not you change. You know, it's
So
the
even if we
same-
do
it's the-
change, we get consequences.
Yeah, well, the consequences. I can never think of there's so many great quotes, and I can never remember any of them when I want to. There's the one, and it's like you either have a comfortable today for an uncomfortable future, or you have an uncomfortable today for a more comfortable future. You know, you either suffer now or you suffer later.
There's a great quote that says comfort and what is the other thing? Oh, there was something. I can't remember what it is. I wish I had it written down right
Peanut
next
butter,
to me. Yeah, those two
Is it
things
peanut
can't
butter?
exist together.
peanut butter,
It
and
was-
ladies.
yeah, I don't remember what it was. But anyway, that's one of the things that we talked about early on when we first started together was comfort. We were just
Yes.
really against comfort. Hold on.
We were trying to be. Like I said, it has not been a truth of my entire life that I've been that way. Most of my life was, doing what most people do, which is comfort seeking. It's just in the
That's
last
true.
couple of years, you and I kind of came to realize at that same moment that this was not good.
Anyway, we got to go back to what you were saying about comfort. We tried to be against comfort. Oh, and then you found you were comfort chasing.
No, I was a comfort seeker, like I think most people are. I think that's kind of what hedonism boils down to, is just kind of like whatever makes you feel good for a moment, or as long as you can, and then. Okay, so yeah, most people, and I like among them, was always seeking comfort, and I realized, like I said, you not so much as I, came to realize, sadly later than I probably should have, but did when I did, so that's what it is. That all the comfort was not good, that it was detrimental, that it was actually harmful in my case.
Yeah.
A lot of it was causing me to repeat old bad behaviors and patterns in life and junk like that. And so, yeah, that was kind of, uh, I don't think by any plan, just where we happened to link hands as we kind of started the podcastery in general.
Yeah.
Was kind of a lot of our conversations kind of built over the last couple of years. Actually, been about 2.5 years because our first season was about a season and a half. But so,
Wow.
because I didn't know how long
You're
we'd do
doing
it,
this
so
a
I
while.
wasn't thinking in terms of seasons. So yeah, it actually
I
went kind
wonder
of
if they'd consider us semi-professional or professional.
quasi-professional,
Quasi. I'll take that. Yeah,
Para,
I also want to clarify though that we're not against being comfortable. We enjoy the
No,
comforts of life, and in fact, I believe that if you work hard and do the things that is expected of you, you deserve the comfortable things. You deserve a comfortable chair to sit in. You deserve a comfortable bed.
but when all you get and all you seek and all you desire and everything in your life is focused on comfort,
Right.
you
Then what
you
happens?
lead a bottom level life.
Right. We enter into a season in our lives like if you're becoming a new parent, there's a level of discomfort there that comes with parenting. A lot of times we won't approach things with our kids, with our
Thank you.
family, with our spouses, with our bosses because we're trying to avoid the comfort. Are we pausing again?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, this is
No, it's all right.
off to
It's
a
all right.
rip-roaring
I
start
know
here.
we're all trying to. That's what we are. We're just normal people living our
It
normal
is
lives.
real
in
life in Dudeville.
real life. Yeah, in Dudeville.
balance.
But anyway, as I was saying, somewhere along the lines that sometimes we chase comfort so much we don't realize that having some physical comfort, like a nice chair, a nice bed, or whatever, kind of trains us to look for comfort in other areas of our lives, and then we refuse to approach the situations that we need to, especially when it comes to like parenting or in a marriage. We will, out of comfort level, well, I'm not going to say that to them because that really makes me uncomfortable, and I don't want to make them uncomfortable, so I'm not going to say that. And that goes against having those crucial conversations that are very important in our lives.
There's lots of ways. Yeah. I think the overwhelming tide that flows is the more comfort you have, the softer you become as a person. The more comfort you require.
Yes.
The smaller and smaller things are that cause you discomfort. You are able to tolerate less and less discomfort.
True that.
I hate to use the word weaker because it can have a triggering effect on some people. So I say the word softer. You become easier target in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a downward trending thing. You can't,
I would jump out and say that comfort is probably the leading cause for reluctancy to change in our lives because we're too comfortable where we are.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
everybody
there might be some
wants change that doesn't require them to do anything.
right.
Everybody's all for that because that shouldn't cause any discomfort.
So all change requires a little bit of discomfort. It requires a little bit of sacrifice, I think.
Yeah, that's
And-
usually those
yeah.
two things are traveling hand in hand. They're tiptoeing down the pathway toward you, going, "Here we come."
and then when you say sacrifice, people are automatically like, "Oh, no, we can't sacrifice anything." But yeah, some things are worth sacrificing. Some things are worth getting rid of.
Some
So when
things are impossible without sacrifice.
So when it comes to change, though, our friend Mozo always talks about, getting rid of the toxic relationships in your life.
Yeah.
And having to change some of those. We have the what's the syndrome? Stockholm syndrome. That's almost, I know that applies to, more kidnapper and kidnappee type thing. But I think, and you see that a lot in, I think we only see it. It doesn't only happen with women. I'm trying to be careful, tread careful.
Good job.
We see it happen a lot. It's talked about a lot. Women having this Stockholm syndrome about not wanting to leave an abusive man, and they stick with him for far too long. I think the same thing happens in men, just different. It's just probably a little bit different. We often will stay in the same job for way too long.
Right.
We'll often continue the same habits for way too long and not change those habits and not improve ourselves because it's comfortable and it doesn't require us to do anything different.
Isn't it strange what we can become comfortable with?
I know.
And
For
prefer
sure.
over the dread of a change.
Yeah. 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 Now, and I mean, if you're going to tolerate something, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having the same job for 25 years. If you're good at it and you're not tolerating it, I
And
mean,
you
you're not
dig it.
tolerating it,
You're
you're big.
not
Yeah,
in
you dig it.
misery.
Yeah, you're not in
How many
misery.
dudes do you know that's, I mean, I can't think of a dad that I grew up around that didn't spend his entire life in misery at some job that he either, half liked or didn't like at all because that's what he did. And that's what
Yeah,
you do. And you got to take care of your family. And I believe in taking care of your family and all that. I ain't dissing on none of that.
absolutely.
But man, to just feel like that's where you were and that's where your tribe was. Like, it's pretty easy to see how alcohol and drug abuse and stuff like that became so popular in the first place.
Yeah,
I mean, it's popular now. I mean,
yeah.
back when people had nothing, you watch like we've been watching. I have recently. I don't know why. A lot of stuff on Appalachian culture, and then stuff on kind of counter culture. I don't know if you call it counterculture Christian sects, like Mormons and not Mormons. Sorry, we got them here, Amish and Mennonites and stuff,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
and kind of looking into the background of some of that stuff. What was I talking about? I don't remember. It was
Have a
going
drink.
great though.
I don't know.
Just keep
I don't
going.
know.
Have
It's
another
going
drink.
great.
Just keep
It's
talking.
going good. It was going good. And we were talking about how comfort is probably the number one key that keeps us from change, and it's surprising what we become comfortable.
Yeah, and
with.
it's surprising what. Okay, that was not probably where I was going, but I'll jump that train and take
Go
you
for it.
into
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So like the Hutterites and people like this, your
The
Mennonites, your
Hutterites?
Amish, Hutterites,
Oh, okay. The Amish. Is that?
Mennonites, they're all kind of part of the same. They're Anabaptist. They were some of those people that stood up to.
Are you making up words? You,
it's all me. I did
how did you get to be? How did you already know so much about swallows?
it. Excuse me. Pardon you. Yeah. So the Anabaptists were a group of people that were like, we're not going to baptize our babies to the Catholics back in the Middle
Okay.
Ages.
Anti-baptize.
Yeah.
Anabaptists.
Anabaptists is what the group's called, and
Anabaptists,
that
okay,
includes
gotcha.
your Mennonites and your Amish and Hutter, lots of groups.
Right.
But they are people
Shouldn't baptize
who
babies anyway.
have kind of embraced, like, especially I just watched this great like 30-minute documentary on Hutterites because they came up and I was like, well, I've never heard of these guys. They look Amish. What do they do? What's their deal? And they're by
So
far
they're
my
different.
favorite group. Yeah.
They're Hutterites. Is that
Yeah.
what you said?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and they're different from the Amish or the Mennonites.
Different but the same. They come from the same root.
Okay, and
So
the difference
they
between
embrace some of the things.
the major difference between Amish and Mennonites are.
Well, and you got to understand, just like saying Baptists and Methodists, there's a lot of Amish and there's a lot of Mennonites. There's not like
Right.
one group of each. The main line that you draw is like where technology comes in. Like the
Right.
Amish are hardcore Luddite, like no technology, zero.
Right. So there's an
Except
Amish.
in some circumstances where they do.
There's an Amish restaurant that we go through in Oklahoma, or we go by in Oklahoma, and we drive through and used to see family, and we find out later that it's really not an Amish restaurant; it's a Mennonite restaurant,
Right.
because they'll use the technology, they'll use the ovens,
Right.
electricity, and all that kind of stuff,
Mennonites
and
kind of
square.
down at the other end, and there are
Right.
groups called like Amish Mennonites, and I'm like, wow, that's got to be tricky
Wow,
because
that's
Mennonites
weird.
have everything. Like they have cars, but they have the chrome blacked out because they don't believe in like prideful vanity stuff like that. So
Interesting.
they can drive a car, but they have like all the chrome blacked out on
Which you don't put much chrome on cars
it.
anyway.
Not anymore. No.
Yeah,
But back in the day, that was the big deal.
back in the day.
Yeah,
Mm.
and so they're more at the other end. So the Hutterites differ because they're kind of in the middle, and like where technology transects with their business dealings, they got no problem with it. But they don't do technology in their worship. That's like the line they don't cross.
There's a lot of Protestant churches that don't do technology in their worship as well.
Yeah. Just by default.
Just by default, yeah.
It's not doctrine. That's just where they land.
Because nobody knows what to do with it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's another podcast. We'll back off of that
In the fall.
in the fall.
So yeah, but they live a communistic lifestyle. So unlike the Amish and the Mennonites that like own a piece of ground and own a house and own a barn, Hutterites don't own anything. They live and work communally. The
Mm.
community owns the barns and the fields and the tractors and the trucks and the houses and the schools and the church building where they meet. They don't call it a church building, they call it a meeting house. And all the jobs you like come live there, and they provide you a house, they provide your food, they provide everything for you, and your part is to do your job, whatever your job is, and to in their second thing, and they all say this, and it's so wild, they say, and enjoy doing it.
Oh. So they tell you to enjoy doing it, huh?
Yeah, because you don't get
Interesting.
any choice. They draw lots for everything.
What movie was that? Was that the Giver, where they draw lots on what you're going to do
I
in
don't know,
life?
but that's how these guys.
Yeah.
This isn't for life. I think it's for like maybe for a year at a time. But
Oh well,
like,
okay.
or maybe it is for life. I don't know. They didn't get into that. But like everything is done. Like the minister is chosen by lot. The town leader is chosen by lot. The manager, the community manager,
Yeah.
is like almost the only person that has contact with the outside world. They build their communities way out in the boonies.
Wow.
And they one of their big things is they don't go to town. They don't like taking their kids to town. They don't even want them to be around worldly stuff. And so these kids grow up, and like the biggest privilege that they get as they grow up, like, is to graduate to taking part in an adult activity. So like when you
What would
don't
that
just get
be?
to sweep the floor, you get to go help kill the geese and clean
Oh,
the geese and stuff. They have a yearly duck killing where they kill off like a couple hundred heads of geese, like right bang bang bang, like machine work. And they all get together and they're in there singing and working and like cleaning geese. And that's the other thing. They're big on music. They sing. They allow
yeah,
musical instruments.
yeah,
And it's like I'm sitting there watching that, going, I could almost go do that.
yeah. There's something to be said
And you
about
get a
that communal aspect.
you get to retire at 50 if you
That's
want.
great.
And they encourage you to stay busy, but you're not required to work. And women get to quit even earlier. And like they expect almost all women's work, and they do have that. They're still very traditional in that men's roles, women's role.
Hmm.
All the women's roles take place in a social setting,
Hmm.
and they're all free to work and talk and visit and sing and do whatever communally, because it's all about building the community. The task
Yes,
will get done
yes.
when
You
the
see that.
community comes together.
You see that in other cultures, historically in other cultures. I say I don't know if you see it because you don't live in the past, but in studying and looking at other cultures in the past, you see that a lot, that the women were very communal about coming together. In fact, well, I mean, all of it. Everybody was very. The men out hunting together. The women,
Yeah.
preparing the wool or the
But
materials,
even
to
like
make
like
things
like
and
the
then
guy that's the
cookings and
blacksmith and the machine shop guy by lot. And the dude's like, "Well, what if you don't know anything about it?" He's like,
what if you're not good at
Enjoy it."
it?
It's
Oh
like,
man. So
wow.
talk about being out of your comfort zone.
You just walk in there and go, "Okay,
You
I'm
just
in."
walk in there and he's like, you've been wrangling horses for 2 years and then training horses and breaking horses, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, starting tomorrow, you're the blacksmith. What?
And
What?
this dude with no practical skills shows up out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything they give me is going to be a nightmare for me. I don't know how to do anything with my hands or anything like that.
Well, and that goes, we talked about and we don't need to talk about it, but there's another episode where a previous episode where we talked about government positions being allotted, and you have to serve.
Yeah, by
Yeah, you
draft.
have to
By
serve.
draft,
Yeah, by
yeah.
draft. Yeah. Oh, it's your turn to serve on the Senate, and you get 1 or 2 years to be on the Senate, and then you're back to your regular life again. I don't know. There's something about that's really cool and it's really neat. I think it's fascinating. I'm just curious, and I know it's a religious thing. Why don't they make any changes past that? Is it because it's so uncomfortable?
I I think it's for them. I think it's because the community is so precious to them. That is the whole thing that they are farming, is not the crops or any of that stuff. They grow food to feed themselves. They have every business they do winds up like exploding. Like they took over a grain
Yeah.
mill and it turned into a giant food, pet food
Yeah.
manufacturing concern. And they're like showing all these guys in there with this high tech machinery. It's like, yeah, where it's business, they'll learn machinery. And then the one guy's like, oh, we're thinking we're gonna have to get a computer in here, man. But yeah, it's a wild life.
Wow. Yeah. So
But
we
it
can
is,
almost
they have embraced something entirely different as comfort.
True.
It's not even in this paradigm. It's like I said, watching it was just like looking at it going, wow.
Yeah.
How do you get your head around that? And then, like I said, they're talking about these kids. Like that's the big privilege, is when they get to take part in something that the adults are doing. Like, oh, real work.
That's
Woohoo!
crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And not opposed to drink. They're opposed to drunkenness, but there's no reason to think it's unbiblical to have a drink.
That's pretty scriptural as it is, you know, opposed to
That's it.
drunkenness. Yeah. And not necessarily to a drink or drinks. So
I don't know how you're gonna get my wife to move to South Dakota.
cheers. I'll drink to that. Hey, well, we're gonna wrap up this week, and then we're gonna talk about this more next week. So I hope that you will join us again here on whatever you're watching it on, YouTube or Spotify or whatever.
Yeah.
We hope that you join us again, and please
Dig it.
jump into the conversation, because we want to hear from you. We
Ooh,
want
in
to
the
hear from you
comments.
because we're about community. And even though we're far apart on the globe, this technology has allowed us to be community together. So thanks for joining us today. We love you all.
Peace out.